this is my view. I'll just show you my view. This is kind of wild, but this is what Dubai looks like now. There's like big tower, and it's so ridiculous being here for like 2 weeks, just because that's the only way to actually get into the US is to be out of Europe for 2 weeks. But Dubai is very accommodating, which is very nice. So it's good to be here. As you probably all have already heard from Yvette and Donna, we decided we would do this as a kind of like almost like an acknowledgement and thank you session for our Shine Award winners. And so it's super awesome that you guys have been doing all the amazing stuff that you've been doing. And my goal in the next hour is to deliver as much compact value on top of what everyone else is already providing to help kind of guide your next pathways and where you're going. And obviously, I know everyone on this call, and I haven't yet met Keith, but I will. So this is going to be hopefully an awesome session where we can get some super good things out of it. And I'll give you a chance at the end to also share some of what we're doing this next year. And after hearing about what you're all doing, if there's any overlaps between your plans, our plans, then I'll share them at the end, and who knows what we might be able to do together in 2021. So this is what I'm going to do to kick it off, because I've already read through all of your info and everything. I will share my screen so you can kind of see what I'm looking at right now as well. I'm basically making little notes as we go on everybody and what they've already been writing as what their big goals are and what you actually have as your main questions. I have got this super cool little presentation, which has got all of your different success stories of what you've been up to and what you've been doing so far, which is like super cool to see as well. You know, obviously spent time with Claire on Crystal Circle, same with Nick and seeing what he's been up to. And Niraj, I've known and been watching his progress as well. So it's really, really cool to just see how you guys have all been evolving as we've been going as well. So rather than getting you all to kind of repeat on everything, because I've read through all of your team charters, looked at all the latest stuff that you've been up to, what I'm going to do is I'm going to basically zoom right already into the most important things as we are looking at the rest of this year and into next year, which is basically like what is most meaningful, what is most measurable, what are things looking like right now. So I'm going to start by basically just asking each of you to place yourself right now in the lighthouse, basically where you see your current level is at color-wise on the spectrum, and remind me of your profile. So I'm gonna like plonk everyone in there, and I'm gonna ask some questions as we go as well. I'm gonna keep it in order right now, so which means I'm gonna start with Nick. So hello, Nick, how are you? Oh, you're on mute at the moment.
Yeah, I'm good. Thank you very much, Roger. Lovely to see you in Dubai.
Yeah,
everyone. I've met everyone on this call. It's in one way or another. So I'm a Lord profile, and where am I at on the impact meter? Is it the?
Yeah.
I'm a yellow.
You're yellow right now. Okay, cool. So things are kicking along, which is really good. Would love to hear from you. While I see your target of 50,000 a month from the virtual, what are you currently tracking at?
Not there. What am I currently tracking at? 5.
5. And are you guys allowed to be starting any like live events now in New Zealand?
Yeah, we are. So we're depends where you're living in New Zealand. There's different levels, different places, but yeah, yes and no is the answer. Yeah.
Okay. All right. And as far as the ambition now goes, moving forward with, because I know one of your big questions was around like, you know, compelling offer, how to like, you know, sharpen that up. Now that you've had a taste of like, you know, starting to go global outside of what you're doing in New Zealand, in the next year, like, you know, by growing this whole virtual side, are you seeing that become a larger part of your business than what you're doing with live events in New Zealand?
Yes, that's my goal.
Okay, cool. All right, got it. Awesome. All right, I'll come back to you. Thank you very much, Nick. I'm going to come over next to Claire, pretty much with the same questions to start with. Hello, Claire.
Hi, Roger. Yeah, I'm in yellow. I'm a mechanic.
All right, so you're Yellow Mechanic, and tell me more about how it's actually how it kicked off with the membership. Like, I saw that you had your first member come on board. What's it looking like right now?
Yeah, we haven't done a proper launch yet, just gone out to the email list. So we have 35 members at the moment, and we're doing a Christmas launch, October, November.
What's the and these are the guys paying like just over 100 a month for the membership?
No, they're paying $350 a year.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
So they're paying $350 a year for the membership. So the ones that you've got here, okay, that's for the upfront payment, right? Or
Yep. Well, 98% of them signed up for a year rather than do the monthly.
And what's been the experience so far with them? I mean, like, have they been happy with what they've been getting?
Oh yeah, fantastic. It's just been amazing. Everyone's really happy. Such a diverse range of people, and totally nailed the avatar. So that was, really nice to see that we got that right. And yeah, that I've got 19 testimonials already. So they've just been sending in. So it's really good.
Very, very cool. Awesome. And where are you actually hosting the group? Are they on Facebook or whereabouts?
I have a Facebook group, and on Thinkific. We host the academy on Thinkific.
Okay. And so it's called Grow Inspired on Facebook? I'll find it there.
Grow Inspired Academy.
Mm-hmm. Very nice. Okay, cool. I have one more question for you. Yeah, I've got one more question for you, which I'm going to come back to. I'm going to come back to Nick with as well, which is in terms of what are you tracking at monthly revenues at the moment for the business?
23,000.
And how much of that is coming from the okay, it's just a small amount coming from the membership right now. So where's most of that coming from?
Most of it's coming from my physical business.
Okay, so this is a thing you were asking on the physical business, which is like, how do you package it to sell it? So what are you, because I remember you had a piece of land that you were looking to grow and build on and so on. You had all this other groovy stuff that you were going to get into. Is that the physical business you're talking about?
No, that's a community business that a community resilience project I'm involved in. Mm-hmm. The physical businesses, I go into people's properties and create food forests and veggie gardens, or go and teach them how to grow or manage their olive orchard and stuff like that. So that after COVID, that just once we got out of level 4, that just skyrocketed. So my thing is that I don't really want to do that.
So it's making money, but you don't want to do it.
Well, I want to keep some of it, but I want to sell some of it because it's like right on CLA, everything went crazy for me. So it was like CLA all night and physical business all day. So now I've realized that, more aligning in looking back at the Ikigai, that I want to create online.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you have any idea how you would value that physical business at the moment? Have you done any research into it?
Yes, I've done some. I'd want to separate just 2 clients out because they'll bring me in like 120,000 a year, which will mean I only have to work like kind of 2 days a week in that, or maybe 1 day a week or 3 days a month, something like that. It's very, it's not work. It's better for me to keep that at the moment until I get turning over the other way. So I talked with my accountant, and like we're packaging up all the other bits that I don't want, all the other clients I don't want.
Okay, good. Do you have a website for the whole food forest business?
I have a website. No, it's not all on there. No, the website is another thing that needs updating, and the list is endless to update.
Okay. Okay. And my final question, which is one I'm going to come back to Nick on, is while you're doing this 23,000, is that 23,000 pounds or dollars?
No, New Zealand dollars.
New Zealand dollar. Okay. New Zealand. So out of the money that you're actually, out of the money you're making, how much are you actually pulling out of the business yourself per month?
I'll do it weekly. 1, 2, 3. About 6,300.
Is that been pretty constant this year?
Yeah, sometimes more. Hasn't been less than 5,800.
Okay, got it. Okay. Okay, cool. All right. Thank you, Claire. Nick, I'm going to come back to you on that question. How much are you able to draw personally out of the business, and how much does that change this year per month?
Okay, so I'm drawing about 5K a month at the moment.
And has that changed much this month? This year, sorry.
It's gone down.
Okay. So what was it in January?
In January it was 7.5.
Okay, got it. All right. Have you got a plan at the moment of when you're hoping that's going to get back up to 7.5 again?
I've got, in terms of live events, I've got, so we're heading into Christmas now. So my expectation is that we're going to have, subject to the COVID levels, we're going to have a pretty comparable Christmas to last year. So that usually, generates me about sort of 400K in 3 months.
Okay, so it's going to be a good Christmas, so
Yeah,
you should be able to go
so.
back up anyway, right? Yep. Okay, got it. Okay, cool. All right, thank you very much, Nick. All right, I'm going to come over to Niraj next. So I've seen what Niraj is up to. I've read also, I see you're like, okay, how do I do more partnerships and so on? How do I get more 7.5K clients and so on? Would love to hear from you, Niraj, what you see as what you feel is the biggest challenge right now towards the next part of your scaling.
I think the key thing that was holding me back was having the right offer. So having the right course and having the right offer. And I think with the LinkedIn micro school, that really helped me dial it in. So we've had some amazing response as a result of Entrepreneur Summer School. So that really kind of pushed me to get that all done and launched. And I've had really good feedback for it. So I started doing some partnerships because when I had to do the webinar for you, that kind of got me into thinking that, there would be a lot more people who would want me to do that webinar. So I tried that with a company in Dubai, actually, called Only Webinars, and it worked out very well. So we added some, 246 people to the list, and I've converted 2 already, into monthly retainer clients. And funny enough, both of them are from India. So, that was strange.
So you see that working, and the actual main product at the moment, like when you're getting people on the monthly, how much are they paying per month?
They're paying in the region of between $750 to $1,000, depending on where they are and how we kind of package it.
And that's mainly for their own personal site and getting them set up for that, right?
Yes.
Yeah, and then like roughly that's like what, 3 months, 6 months? What kind of package do you put them on?
It would be typically 6 to 12 months.
6 to 12. All right.
Yeah.
So when you're saying you want to get to 25,000 a month, you're pretty much talking about maybe what, 30 clients on an ongoing basis?
Yeah. So I think we have to look at the mix in terms of how many kind of live micro schools I do, in the mix, because that helps me get a good group of people together, and obviously it becomes easier to then upsell. I think up till now, my challenge was that I didn't have a kind of flagship product. I was running masterminds, but that really didn't kind of take off in the way that I expected. So now I think this gives me a flagship product, and the thinking is to get people in through also a LinkedIn profile challenge. So we could have a 5-day LinkedIn profile challenge, which can help me build a bigger community. and also have a Facebook group which looks at digital marketing. And that can end up becoming kind of my gold dust, a community where I'm able to build trust, and then I'm able to give the offer. I think the key change that has come about is that now I'm kind of positioning myself in a different way, which is, how do you become a titan in your chosen niche? So it's a little bit like how Daniel Priestley has his KPI. So, like how do you do that? Because, and that seems to be gathering much more traction. It's easy for me to explain that. And that's essentially what then people end up working with me to do, because, I've done that essentially for the LinkedIn, in the last 2 months. And that's worked very nicely.
Yeah. Okay. Got it. All right. And one question similar to what I asked for both Nick and Claire, which is for yourself personally. How much are you drawing from the business right now?
I'm not drawing anything from the business. I have an investment income. So I have $4,500 coming in from the investment income every month.
Okay.
So,
got it.
I'm kind of just trying to, get the business going, to a level where we're able to get that regular cash flow. Right now, I'm kind of just about hitting the 5K per month, but it's, very early days in terms of we've just kind of got this going.
Okay, got it. Okay, all right. Thank you, Niraj. All right, and I can see that we have Keith who's joined us now. Hi, Keith.
Hi, Roger.
Hey, good to meet you.
Yeah, likewise.
Yeah. So I was just sharing, I think maybe you were coming on just at the early point that during this session we're having, I'm going to be aiming to add extras on top of everything else you guys have all been learning already to make this super high value. So I've already gone through your team charter and your rapid pivot plan. So I've got all that info here as well. So I'm going to kick it off by basically asking you. I'm going to come back to Niraj to ask this as well. At the moment, where do you see yourself on the wealth spectrum in terms of the colors? And what is your wealth dynamics profile?
Mechanic profile, yellow on the spectrum.
Got it. Okay. And if you were to look at how it's been going so far with the whole online side, because I know you were looking to pivot to that, what kind of revenues is that generating for you at the moment? And what's your target of what you'd like to be doing?
So the target for the first month was $30,000 in online sales. That was because a major event went online in New Zealand, Field Days, and we thought that there would be 180,000 visitors to the online event. There was only 50,000 visitors. Of that, we captured 1,500 people's details through a competition, and we sold to 100 people, and we generated basically $1,000 income. So we were short just by 29,000.
Sorry, you were saying, I missed that. You said you were aiming for 30,000?
Aiming for 30,000 for the first month, just simply because of the major event that went online, and our actual sales were $1,000.
So you were 29,000 short?
Yes.
Okay, all right. So that didn't quite work out as planned.
No, it didn't. It didn't work out as planned on the financial side, but it gave us a soft start. So we're able to check all our systems, all our procedures, and start working on the customer pathway, which we didn't have at the start of that exercise.
So how many people did you have total who then bought?
100 customers.
100. So they were buying at $10 each or something?
The average sale would probably be $15 to $20. So I haven't got the actual number in front of me, but maybe up to 150 customers.
Okay. All right. And what's your goal? What would you like to see happen?
The goal was 12,500 per calendar month in online sales revenue.
And are you feeling you're on track for that or not at the moment?
I believe there's potential to do that quite easily. But what we've found is with the COVID round 2 here in New Zealand is that people have stopped spending. And so the online sales have simply ceased. and we haven't had any negative feedback. We've had plenty of positive comments about the product, and one of our customers put our donut mix into a waffle machine and made what they describe as the most amazing waffle ever. I've done Siraj's online Facebook course last week, and we came up with an idea to give away a free sample of the pancake mix, which will now label as /waffle mix. They pay the postage and packaging, and they can have 1 cup of powder, which is just enough to tease you.
Right.
And so that should basically generate some activity.
And have you got a whole bunch of different flavors and mixes and so on, or are you just doing one standard one?
We've got the one standard mix, but we've also got a gluten-free option of that same mix. So we've got 2 recipes, one gluten-free and one not gluten-free, and we add chocolate powder to each recipe to call it a chocolate version of the same thing.
I got it. Okay, fabulous. All right. And what about you in terms of your own personal income that you're able to draw from the business per month?
And so my situation is a little bit untidy, unfortunately, and that may be due to annoying the Inland Revenue, the IRD. And so they've been harassing me for 6 years. I don't receive a birthday card at each anniversary, but they still keep doing that. And so at the moment, I own all of the donut equipment, and I lease it to a company that trades it. So I get $10,000 per month for the lease of the equipment.
You're leasing equipment to who?
Because I've failed the attitude test at the IRD, my friend has set up a donut business, a limited company.
Yes.
And I work for him.
Right.
And I lease my equipment to his company. And
So you're making a lot more money leasing your equipment than you are selling donut mix?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. Have you ever thought of growing that business or not?
You can do both. You don't need to choose.
But if you were to grow the business, would you want to grow that whole leasing business as well?
Yes, and that's the get a degree without a debt scheme. So we set a student up to obtain their own degree with no debt, and that effectively is an equipment lease company where we get 15% of their revenue and supply them all the physical equipment. So that is what you're talking about.
That's where the 10,000 comes from. You're not actually setting up your own franchising or anything like that?
There's 2 components. I get $10,000 per month to lease equipment to the physical event business. Plus, we're looking to set up individual students in their own caravan, which we will get 15% of their turnover in addition to the $10,000.
If someone wanted to set up their own, like let's say someone in Singapore decided they wanted to have a kiosk where they were going to sell donuts, right? Would you be in a position where you could actually lease them the equipment and get them started with that?
I wouldn't bother. What the model would look like is I would tell them what equipment to buy out of America to get the caravans built in Singapore. They would own a copy of my recipe because my recipe is the gold here. And then I've got all the systems and procedures, what works and what doesn't work, and they could copy our business.
And how have you done that before with anyone or not?
No.
Okay. And let's imagine someone was to do that. How much, how much one of these kiosks could make? How much could someone expect to make if they do a fairly good job?
They would turn over $1 million a year annual turnover without too much difficulty, and that's from one city centre. So if there's more than one city in that country, they could set up that $1 million business of turnover in each city. Right. So it's a percentage of the population.
Sure, got it. And then how much would it cost them to lease the equipment from you or somebody?
So they would purchase the equipment. So the setup cost in New Zealand dollars is about $40,000 or $50,000 per donut caravan. And the operational cost is not the biggest expense. The biggest expense is the labor.
Okay, all right. And roughly, what would that work out at per year?
We work at 20% cost of goods, 20% labor, and 20% site fees or ground rental at the events that we go to.
Okay. Sorry to ask all these questions, but I'm just thinking this through. If you were to look at how you're currently leasing out your equipment, you're obviously buying it for $40,000. Are you financing it when you buy it yourself?
No, because I'm a car mechanic by trade. We actually build our own donut caravans ourselves in-house, And so we've got the recipe for that, the templates and bits and pieces. And so our setup cost is about 25,000 per caravan. But if
someone wanted to come and order 10 caravans for you at 25,000 instead of going and buying them for 40,000 from the US, would you do the deal?
So just to avoid the confusion, I build a caravan for 10,000 rather than 25,000. You put a $15,000 donut cooker in it, and basically you're away. And so I can make donuts. I can make donut caravans in New Zealand, but I wouldn't make them for Singapore. I'd fly to Singapore, buy a drop saw, buy a MIG welder, buy the materials, build it in Singapore.
Got it. And then when you lease it out at the moment, like to New Zealand, like how much are you leasing it for right now?
15% of their turnover.
Oh, so you just take 15%. So if they are doing $1 million, you'd be taking 150,000?
Exactly. So at the moment, the business that my friend owns, he did 750 last year, and I charged him 120,000.
Yeah.
This year, he's having a little cry because of COVID, and he wants to change that to a percentage rather than a flat rate of 10,000 per month.
I got it. Fabulous. And final question, it sounds like you're having a bit of challenge with the student situation at the moment. Are you putting that down just purely to the COVID situation, or is it anything else as well?
No, it's simply COVID for two reasons. When we go to a fruit and veggie market or a farmer's market, we were doing $1,000 a day, but it dropped down to $300 a day, and now it's risen up to $500. And the reason we're doing that market is so we can then hand it over to a student who lives within driving distance of that market. And so the economy is uncertain, and therefore we're not able to attract a student.
Okay, thank you very much, Keith, for all that info. Fabulous. I'm going to come back to Niraj. Niraj, your current spectrum level and profile?
I'm a Lord and at yellow.
Yellow. Okay, so we have 2 yellow mechanics, 2 yellow lords. Okay, this is fabulous. Okay, thank you very much, Niraj. All right, let me share with you all what I have been busy typing as we've been going as well. Just like looking at Keith's model, looking at Claire and what Claire's up to. There's something, so here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to share, let me just get rid of this thing here so we can see this a bit better. I'm going to share, let me put this in context. What if you were to think about a lot of the things you've been applying, you know, within CLA or the Entrepreneur Summer School, you know, or the kind of key programs you've been on so far with us. Think of it a little bit like a Rubik's Cube, where if you go online and you learn how to do a Rubik's Cube, you find out that there's an algorithm where there's basically like just 6 moves you need to do in order. And if you actually learn these 6 moves, you can get a Rubik's Cube down to, you know, maybe if you're really fast at it, maybe like 5 minutes or so that you can actually, you know, solve a Rubik's Cube. Then it's like, great, you know, I can build my business. I just got to take each step one by one. And of course, you know the steps, which is got to get the marketing in place, got to build up trust with people, you know, got to turn that into revenues. So what I want to share with you is like just some really simple strategies which are based on where you are and where you want to go, which is not, it's not the way they do the Rubik's Cube where you're just taking it step by step. Is how to shortcut that whole thing and understand how everything, if you look at where it's at and where it needs to go, can actually be done much, much faster by actually bypassing algorithms and actually having a very clear sense. Here's where I am, here's where I'm going, and then knowing that there's models at every step of the way. So if we actually look at where each of you are at the moment, and I'm actually taking not even, you know, where you're at in terms of your business, I'm taking where you are into your own consciousness, right? Because your own consciousness is linked directly to how much flow and value you're delivering. Or another way of saying that is how much is your time worth, meaning how much are you paying yourself, because your ability to build a team and get to the next level from yellow, because from yellow to green, the only thing missing is the team, because the one thing you're going to always run out of is your own time. And so the only way to get from one to the other is basically, number one, by shifting your own mindset on how much your time is worth. Because if your time is only worth $5,000 or $10,000 a month, you frankly don't have enough value in that time to delegate to someone else, right? Like the kind of person who needs to basically run $1 million business is going to want at least $10,000 a month to run $1 million business, right? So if you want to get from $50,000 to $100,000 and have someone that can actually run and build a team for that, you yourself need to be earning at least like $20,000 a month in order for you to actually get up to green effectively. So it's kind of weird because a lot of people think, oh, I got to have a big business first and then I'll pay myself. As opposed to the reality, which is if you already were earning $20,000 a month, you wouldn't start by saying, right, I'm going to go in there and start my own business. You wouldn't. You'd be like, well, I might as well hire someone to go and start the business for me, right? So, or at least to run the business for me, because you're already thinking my time's too valuable for me to actually be in there trying to do those things. I'll hire someone else to do those things. So what happens as your time gets more valuable is you immediately delegate. Like if your time's worth 100,000 a month, you'd be delegating everything because everyone's time is actually worth less than yours is. So why on earth would you hire yourself to do that same job? But as long as you're actually not earning too much, then you're always going to think, it's cheaper for me to do it myself than to get someone else to do it, which is why yellow gets stuck at yellow. They're simply not paying themselves enough, right? That's the first thing. So what I'm about to do is actually just go through some very quick strategies, which you can choose whether you want to go the high road or low road, the fast road or the slow road, or the rocket ship or the bicycle. You choose, because you might go, oh, maybe I just want to do the bicycle, right? But if you go, why wouldn't I just take the rocket ship, right? You're going to find it actually is faster, it's easier, and you get to spend time with the more of the right quality people because you immediately lift yourself to a high level, right? So it's like, well, what would it take for Keith to be not at 10,000 a month, but 20,000 a month, right? And maybe get there, within 3 to 6 months, like, so even by the end of this year, already be doing that, right? Or what would it take for like, Nick to go from, 5,000 and actually jump past 7.5 and go up to 10,000? Like, what would it take to just make that happen? So you're already thinking differently. And then again, of course, if you can do that each year, you could double it up the year after as well. Or what would it take for Claire to go from like, 6 up to, more like, 13,000, right? Or let's call it 12,000. So at the moment you think that's like, what would I be thinking differently if I was making that kind of money per month versus what I'm making at the moment? And the answer is probably yes, you would. And because Neeraj isn't taking anything out, I'll just take what he's already doing on investment income and say, well, what if he was actually doing like 9,000 a month, but all 9,000 was actually coming from the actual LinkedIn business, right? Because if you start thinking that way around, it means you have to think differently from what you're doing at the moment, right? That's the first thing that I'll share. The second thing I'll share is that when you start thinking this way and set the target, and I would highly recommend that for each of you in your future vision, even for the end of this year, you directly put in there what is going to be the value of your own time in terms of how much you're making, because that will change the way you start delegating things. Whenever I see someone who says, I can't find the right people, I always say that's because you're not paying yourself enough. If you pay yourself more, you start finding the right people, right? So that's the first thing. But the second thing is then realizing that once you go down this line, the most important thing is to change your multiplier. So a yellow level multiplier is always the multiplier based on the customer. And you all are having that right now, which is why you're actually achieving yellow, which is great, right? So what you're doing at the moment is the right thing. But if you're at second gear and you want to get to third gear, then it means you're not having to just like take your foot off the accelerator and shift up to third gear. And for some of you, I'm not saying there aren't good things you're doing that you shouldn't be doing and continue to do, right? But it could be other people should be running the promotion plans you're currently doing while your mindset goes up to a high level. And where the multiplier goes from basically, if you think of yellow level being all about a role model, and role model is about individual, and role model is about personal and about connecting with the right person, and a multiplier around the customer. Green level is about business model, and it's about a multiplier of the business, not a multiplier of the customer. So what is Neeraj's actual business that he's multiplying? He doesn't have one yet, right? Or what's Nick's one? He doesn't have one yet. What's Claire's one? She doesn't have one yet. What's Keith's one? He kind of does have one, but it's very specifically around the whole New Zealand government plan with the leasing, right? So which isn't easy to multiply, especially if you're just stuck in New Zealand. So the most important thing is what is your global multiplier, because it's much, much easier to create a multiplier that people want to be a part of. So for example, we have like Flow Consultant is a multiplier that we have. People pay $1,500. They can learn how to, make that much per month. We have our country licenses, which are much bigger multipliers that allow, so all our global growth has come by us having global multipliers, where other people want to start the businesses that we have. Now we're doing things like the Beach Club and we're multiplying them up as well. And now that we're actually having our IPO, we're showing that the big multiplier we have are the actual schools and even universities, which are like at $10 billion at a time. And so the investors are looking at that and saying, can we see that there could be universities which are genius universities in different parts of the world? Can we see there could be, resorts which already have a multiplier, or beach clubs or genius centrals? And each of these are a multiplier, which as long as they can see that it's possible to multiply them, they can put a value in our business, which is much, much, much higher, right? So super important to actually have this in place. And you can't really sell a business until it has a business multiplier, which is why Claire will have a very tough time selling her business, because it's really her time right now where she can't easily multiply her time. But it would change very much if she actually had a way that she had a business model that actually could multiply, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to, just with that thought process, and you say, well, how long does it take me to actually put a multiplier in place? When we talk about promotion plans, these are about how do you go You know, most of you at the moment are like, you know, how do I go from level 2, 10 customers up to level 300 customers? This kind of like level here. And there's some really important things you're asking, which is around that level. But I just want to kind of jump it up to say, well, what would it be that would actually make a multiplier that could have like 100 customers that would then allow you to actually go up to level 4, right? Which is green level. So when you think about your development objective, the real key on the development objective is, well, what am I actually doing that's going to be able to generate the right team around something that can make money? So they're not a cost, but they're actually a revenue generator. And then actually start to see how I can multiply these teams, right? That would be so much better if I could do that. What I'm going to do also is I'm going to say that the biggest thing that's going to stop you from doing this one is that the guaranteed flow. This is the most important thing about yellow level. The guaranteed customer flow needs to be there first. And each of you, the challenge is at the moment, each of you are you do what you do at the beginning of yellow, which is the right thing, which is, okay, I got to kind of dig my own river, right? And I'll go off a little bit of a pool, which is people already who know me, or partnerships. Like Neeraj is already saying this. It's like, well, I can see if I have a partnership, I'm going off someone's pool, and then I can kind of dig a bit off it, right? Or Keith has a pool with the New Zealand government, and then he's like trying to figure out this new pool online. So the most important thing on the guaranteed custom flow is to know the way to get that is that you're already doing some of the right things in terms of the way that you're actually linking, you know, your river to a particular flow, but it's not a big enough flow yet in order for you to feel this is guaranteed, which means you're always going to be concerned about going back to find more people to warm up. So there's also an element about guaranteed customer flow, which is like, how do you just go and basically dig a river where there's a thunderstorm going the whole time, so it's just always raining? Because if it's always raining, I'm not going to have any problem having lots and lots of people show up. I don't need to do anything more to dig the river. I just need to be right in front of the rain. And then I'm going to have a whole bunch more coming my way as well. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to start by just kind of like taking maybe 5 minutes and just zipping through like where your guaranteed customer flow is from where I see. And that kind of answers most of your questions that you had at one level anyway. And then I'm going to get onto global multiplier, because if you said, okay, look, why don't I just do that? That makes life so much easier. You'll find your way to guaranteed flow all over the place, right? So for example, if I was to come to, you know, Nick's like saying, well, what's my webinar cadence? Like once a month? And the answer is, yeah, probably once a month for your webinar, but that shouldn't be the only thing you do. So for example, we have a series of different mechanisms that actually create trust at the, like, you know, because we know trust is going to come by increasing our followers and increasing community. Our webinars only bring in about 10% of the flow followers to community. We have other ways, which includes our assessments, which includes our videos, which includes basically our masterclass we do. These are all things that actually are different pathways that go from all the people, because some people don't want to show up on a webinar, right? So I wouldn't be looking to do more webinars, but I wouldn't be expecting more than 20, you know, maybe 20% of your revenues to come from those webinars anyway, right? You've got to start creating new flows as you go along the line. So yeah, like once a month is fine, but the question is, what are the other things you're putting in place? And where you're going to get to that flow as well. And the compelling offer has to directly link to that too. So here's the challenge that I have when I look at Nick's. You know, I'll go to Nick's post here on his what he sees the problem is and so on. And you can see here that Nick is very much focused at, okay, we're gonna solve a problem that, you know, if you're working remotely, you know, challenge is challenging, stressful, you know, so you're trying to manage your team, concerned that working remotely, the team dynamic will suffer. So here's our promise, you know, we're going to basically create an invincible team for you, right? So this is going to be where team becomes invincible, and that's like the word you're using. And you can actually see that on the page here. If you want a great business, you need an invincible team. So it's all about invincible, invincible, invincible. Here's the thing, right? If I'm basically someone who's actually got a big challenge out there, and I'm saying, well, like how do I actually solve this with remote teams? Let me just go and just show you, right? I'll just open up this one here. You can see, I just typed in remote work team building, right? So if I'm in remote work, I'm like, I just need to figure out how do I team build in a way that's going to work remotely, okay? And I'm looking for team building that's actually going to do that. And you can see already there's things like this is September 9th, this is like last week, 57 virtual team building activities for remote teams, right? So people are clearly looking for this stuff. It's all out there at the moment, and it's about how quickly you can actually be here. Obviously, you can be right at the top by just doing some ads in this area as well. You can see it's already got engagement on here. There's comments on here. There's people out there. Now, here's the point. This is basically this is a site, Snack Nation, right? Which is basically already providing all sorts of products, work home from home box. You know, it's like helping people when they're actually working from home. They do office snack delivery, but now they're doing things from home as well. And they're actually bringing people to their site by having something which is now showing up on the front page of Google, and basically saying, here's what you can do, here's team building, how it can work, here's icebreakers. And they're just basically figuring out their own stuff on different things that you can do. But they've actually already, as you can see here, this virtual icebreaker also pairs well to include virtual murder mystery game from Outback virtual team building. So they're actually recommending other people, let's run virtual team builders. Now you can see, these guys are called Outback virtual team building. Now, we don't know if these guys found these guys or vice versa, right? Like, but we do know that people are now watching, reading this, because they're actually out there looking for it. You can see here, 50% off virtual clue murder for remote teams is very specific about remote teams and explaining remote teams. If we go back and just pick another one on here, Let's Roam virtual team builders, they're not doing any webinar here. They're basically just saying, look, here's what we're doing. Here's Let's Roam epic virtual team building activities, Let's Roam indoor activities. So I'm seeing like 2,500 reviews on Facebook, right? So like I'm seeing all, and they're actually partnering up with all these different customers. Next level technology equals remote team building success. They're actually linking in with the actual software together with the actual activities, and then actually getting people involved in it. And if Nick just had one person whose whole goal was just collaboration with all the people out there that were already talking about this, where I'm immediately finding this stuff in a way I'm not finding Nick's stuff, right? And I'm gonna, of course, come to these guys because they're the ones that have stepped right into the river, which is when I'm looking for stuff and there's lots of people looking for stuff, they're talking to me directly. They're talking about virtual teams. They're talking about it all being linked to what I'm looking for. And they're giving me other tools as they go along. And so it goes on, right? Like each one of these, a lot of these guys are actually the systems, like Monday.com is a system which is a tool where they're wanting new business themselves. And so for Nick to say, look, if I really was to make this happen and people were to know that I was the one that had the very best virtual team building, like this one here, like they've got their own one in here for their wellness box and so on. I could do a partnership with Snack Nation where they go, yeah, let's do this partnership. We'll send you the guides for the team building. You basically package up with us the Snack Nation pack, Monday.com. It's like, yep, okay, if you package up and say, hey, while you're like, what is your productivity tool you use? How about you try Monday.com? We're going to do an actual game which actually links to it. Give it a go. Okay, sure, I'll go do that. They'll even sponsor you to do these things, right? Because they're already getting all these people coming their way. They're looking for the differentiator. They know they need the high touch. They've already got the high tech. So it's actually linking in with all these guys to do all of that, right? So, and it goes on, right? There's all of these people on here. And this is just the very first link that I actually went to. Let's take one more example, right? So you can kind of see how this works. If I was to go let's have a look. I opened a few more up here. Yeah, so there's these ones here. Remote work productivity statistics. There's so much here about how many people are going into remote work right now. And so people already are knowing that there's a massive need in this. And there's already companies out there even getting funding for this as they're going as well. And I'm gonna come back to this one because you already have people out there that already are in this space. They're looking for branding, right? Like this is straight from Upwork, top 27 team building freelancers. These are guys who are saying, I'm gonna make my whole job just to help people with their team building. And a lot of these guys there, they're already getting customers out there, but they don't actually, they're just doing it off themselves, right? And they're getting jobs off it as well. But if you said, hey, we're actually got a certification that you can actually then use all these different tools and you can then go out there and basically like generate your own business, you're not even having to be the one out there hustling to get the business because they're the ones doing that themselves. Just like with Wealth Dynamics, 80% of all our business doesn't come from us marketing Wealth Dynamics. It comes from all of our coaches who are using Wealth Dynamics. And then they basically pay us a royalty for doing that. So this is about basically knowing all of this is out there. I'll take one more example, which is like on YouTube. And if we go to YouTube, you'll see that on here, we have got ability to say, if I was into remote team building activities, right? What would show up here? And you would see that like the very first one, number one, virtual team building activity from 4 months ago, she's had 141,000 views. Like that's how many people already are like, we're wanting this stuff, right? So they've gone and YouTube's a search engine, right? Just like Google. So basically what people went out looking for this stuff. And here she is, here's Adriana. She's got #1 on YouTube.
Hi, if you're new here, welcome.
Here she is from America, right? You can tell. She's got 19,000 subscribers on her channel. And because, I mean, I've got vidIQ here, which basically is allowing us to see very quickly what's going on with her YouTube video. So you can see here, she's tagged this with virtual team building activity. She's come #1 on that. If someone's looking for online team building games, she's also #1 on that. Virtual team building games. Now, the only reason she's #1 is because she was good at tagging stuff and putting her stuff right to the top, right? That's the only reason. She's only got 19,000 people watching. If we click on this one, which basically vidIQ tells us the number of people per month searching for virtual team building activities on YouTube is 139,427 people. The competition is very low because not many people are actually posting on this, which is why she got to the top very big, very quick. You can see here, it even gives you clues to say, look, if you're going to go for that one at 139,000, you might want to go for team building, which is 220,000, right? Or maybe remote teams, another 150,000 looking for that. Or virtual team building games, another 139,000 looking for that. So your ability to get to hundreds of thousands of people around the world who actually are looking for what you have is so high. More than just doing a webinar, right? Like the webinar, yes, is good, but it's still about, it's not about digging the river. It's about, are you actually where the rain is? And this is where all the rain is. It's like just pouring rain here. And you just got to basically connect into it. If you don't know how to do this, no problem. You can get yourself someone who does know how to do this. And this is one of the interesting things with Keith, right? Keith wants to actually give, young people a chance to have a go of things. Wow, if you just took an apprentice on, and you guys know we have our apprentice program, take an apprentice on, and they could do all this stuff for you, right? I mean, they know YouTube. I've got Luke doing my YouTube channel. We added 100,000 subscribers in the last month just by having him do it, and he's 21 years old, because they just get this stuff, right? Anyway, point is, at the moment, you're not tapped into this flow the way that I would be doing if I was you. And I really think if you start going down that pathway, you'd be amazed at just what's possible. And others are giving clues, right? This Adriana, for example, she's already giving clues where she's getting all this stuff coming her way. Her whole focus, by the way, you can see here, isn't just about teams. She's looking for people who like effective meetings. I bet she's a coach who's just figured out that, she should be doing this stuff. If you were to basically say to her, hey, listen, I see you've got this YouTube channel. I've just set up my own. I've got all these really cool team buildings. How about we actually do something about the top 10 team building games you can play for remote teams? She'd be all over that. And then you'd be then on her channel, basically with her getting another 100,000 views, and with you now basically on there sharing both your programs and what other people out there are doing. And then that straight away gets yourself more business than you can handle. Especially if you're just at the point where you're like, well, how do I just get to 10,000? Well, you only need to get basically like 10 people booked in, and you're already going to be hitting that number. And if you've got 100,000 people looking at video, it's easy to get 10 people booked in, right? Even just like with one-to-one, consult calls coming from them as well. And we take that like a few more steps. Like if we come over and do the same, because, Claire had the same question, which is like, how do I make what I'm doing compelling for others out there, right? So if I come over to Claire, like if I go, the challenge with Claire is that everything she's doing is a service right now. The membership's a great idea, but whenever you link this to an actual product of some sort, it changes everything, right? For us, linking what we do with GeniusU is what makes GeniusU now a $300 million business. That wouldn't be the case if it was just me doing my mentoring. But you can see here, you've got, if you go Organic Home, Garden Kit, right? Like these all show up where you've got all these different companies that are actually already packaging up products. You go one step further and you say, well, what does this look like if you actually, look for what are the, top things people are looking at? Right? I just put a post in here, home gardening startup funding, because this always gives you who's been raising money recently. Here in the middle of the crisis, May 27th, Rise Gardens raised 2.6 million in fresh funding for its at-home company, right? So you're going, well, what are these guys doing that made them raise $2.6 million? Well, they're doing at-home hydroponics, right? So they basically are giving people a chance. Now, the reason that at the moment Claire's business is taking off is because everyone's spending more time with their garden, everyone's spending more time in their home. That's not going to change. And these guys are really like riding on this. Because people say, right, I'm in my house, I'm going to make my own garden in my house. And because they're indoors, there's even a high demand for hydroponics and indoor gardening than even outdoor gardening, right? And then you can see here that when you take that idea, hydroponic gardening kits are even more expensive because you actually got more kit and things that you're actually provided for this as well. So does this mean that Claire should be creating her own kits? No, you can partner up with those people already who have the kits. They'd give you a big percentage of those. And now you're actually providing the whole thing to others. And when you actually go out looking for, well, who are the guys out there that are doing this? If I go to Facebook, for example, and we go to indoor, let's have a look here. Okay, like, so let's say just if I go indoor gardening, right? And I could do home gardening as well, which I'll do in a second. But if we just do indoor gardening to start with, you can see, and I'm in Dubai, right? So they're showing up the one in Dubai here, 1,000 people on that one. You've got indoor gardening, 7,900 on this one. You've got another 9,600 on this one. These are all real life people that at the moment are all basically looking for good info. on things that are out there. Hydroponic gardening for beginners, 62,000 people on that one. So that's obviously where it's all happening. Gardening tips for beginners, 103,000, right? So now, by the way, if you say, well, if they've already got 62,000, you know, how do I get those people to be following me? If you just had one person, a 19-year-old or like an apprentice, working with you and said, your job is every day to engage with at least 20 people in this group, because you can see the list of everyone once you join it, and just say, hey, just saw that you're interested in this, that found that really interesting, I'm gonna post that into our group as well. And you created your own group, which is all about inspired gardening, and talking about your academy. People, oh, that sounds interesting. And they're then going to be joining your group because you found something interesting of theirs that you posted into the group. You'd like them to comment on that as well. When they get into your group, they're going to go, well, this is interesting. These guys have actually got a whole program that we can actually be a part of. And then you would be getting, out of every 20 a day, which isn't difficult to do, 10 to 15 of them actually joining your group as well. You get to 1,200 within basically a month or two. So very, very quickly you can do that by actually just connecting with people and showing you're interested in them. And when you're starting with 63,000, it's easy to get 1,000 people, right? Especially as when they start posting, oh, you know, there's this group over here that we're actually posting stuff on, it will bring others in there as well, right? Especially if you're actually showing them some really powerful ways that they are able to actually create, you know, partnerships with you as well. And I want to come back to that in a second in terms of the academy concept. In both the cases of Nick and also of Claire, is tuning in and tapping into this. By the way, the other place where you tap in very quickly to this, you've got YouTube, you've got Facebook, you've also got Twitter. If I come to Twitter here, you'll see here, home gardening tips, improve your home. So these guys follow me already. They've got 39,000 followers. If I just basically come to like latest home gardening tips, what effect will 2025 have on your bees, right? 40th anniversary, like, you know, so all these things here, which is all on home gardening, you find something interesting on here that you want to actually post, or you want to see who these guys are following, so see what else they're doing as well. You're going to find all these different communities and groups, which are all posting really interesting stuff that you might find interesting too. If you just post one thing a day or had someone in your team posting one thing a day, and if you were just going into these groups and saying, well, who actually already is interested in this, right? Like if we actually go to, let's say just even that home gardening page I just had here, I can go down to the followers here. I see a list of all these people who took the effort because they're interested in home gardening to join this group. If I just click and follow just 50 of these people right now, I would have 25 of them following me back. That just generally is about 50%. So you're getting directly to where the people are who are looking for you, and you're getting them then to basically get connected in with you as well. And so this is about knowing that at the moment, each of you are going through strategies to basically, you know, create, you know, the steps to get to your market. The market out there, the bar smart market don't know about you yet. And it's about getting to that market. This is how we've done this with all our businesses. We just focus at where is the actual pool, where's the rain, and just actually then direct those people towards us as well. And then you'd be amazed at how quickly you get to the thousands when you do that too. However, I want to kind of like step one more step on this as well, which is that in both Nick and Claire's case, you're already in a position from what you've done to be creating a partnership community the same way that we've created a partnership community. Like Nick, for example, if he was to actually go out there and to all those freelancers who already want to have their own team building business, if he was already to be going out, like you guys have seen Moira do this, right? Where she's got her secret suppers and she's already got people all around the world that are paying her to actually now be hosts for secret suppers. So for you to say, right, you're going to be one of my top representatives right now, where I'm going to basically train you on being able to run our programs. You're going to keep 50% of it. I'll keep 50%, or even, you know, they can keep 70% and you keep 30%. And then basically we'll train you up on doing this. But it's still going to cost you $1,500 to get trained up. And you can get them trained up. You can put it all on GeniusU and actually then get yourself set up as basically certified, you know, team builders using your brand. In Claire's case, you actually need to do this with your business in order to sell it. Because to sell your business as it is at the moment, which is really you and your team locally, yes, there might be someone who would want to buy it, but the fastest, quickest way for you to build something that's going to make someone go, wow, I want to be a part of this, is as you're building up your membership and building a compelling offer has got to be something which is what do people really want today? And the reality is, yes, there are people who actually do have their home gardens, but there are other people who also have their indoor gardens, and they want to have the whole thing. As you saw there, it was like the gardening tips for beginners, which is what they really, really want. So it's getting them to join into your membership, and then the academy allows them then to actually be able to then get the certification for you to have the professional academy, or the ability for someone to actually be able to start their own business within their interest in this. you would have so many people that want to do this right now, because we're living in a time where people are looking for business opportunities. And if you're not providing that as a multiplier, then you're not able to build the business, because you can't see an easy way for other people to worry about the business more than you do, right? That's what green level is all about. Yellow level, you worry about the business more than anyone else. Green level, they worry about business more than you do. And so in the case of something like what Claire's doing, she could say, okay, I'm going to have basically one level that you can come and join to actually be able to set up a community, just like we're setting up a community. It can be a local community. We're going to share great tips. You can have people join your academy or send them our way to join as well. We'll give you basically 50% for everyone who comes our way, and then we'll actually train them up. They'll be under you. And then here's the great thing. We have people out there right now who are willing to pay for food forests, right? Like to actually be setting up food forests where we actually do this for companies. We already have a company that does this very, very well. We're going to show 3 people, don't have to have that many to start with, how to do this as well. If you'd like to find out how to do this, go on the training program with us. It costs $5,000. If you go on the training program, we're going to teach you how to do this. We'll actually even hold your hand through finding your first client. We're going to give you all the tools and things that we do and the way we do it as well. You can then guide those people, and it's worth it for the $5,000. You make the money much, much faster by doing that, and you hit your number here by having those guys on board. You just have to prove a couple of those people that it can be done, that they can actually, in their part of the world, do exactly the same as what you've done, and that you're able to teach them the key things they need to follow. Some of them may already be like landscapers, right? Some of them may already be gardeners, but they just didn't know how to build the business structure, which you've learned how to do. So you share with them how all this works. You keep basically a 10 or 20%, up to you how you do that, for the license fee. It all comes under your brand. You say, we're going to go out there and we're going to build a community where people can then actually come to you for this as well. And if you did that, you're going to be amazed at how quickly people are going to say, this is a really great business. And you're going to then be able to go out there, put a pitch deck together, which we can show you exactly how to do that, where you can then basically say, look, I've got 3 at the moment. I'm going to aim for 10. I'm going to get a team on board to actually build this. And we're going to look for investors and even someone who might want to buy the whole business, which means you don't have to do any of it. The issue we have at the moment is you can't go out and find a whole team to run all this thing. And you might even want to keep the business after other people are running it, because you're making more money by doing that than selling it. But even if you want to sell it, you can do that, because you've now got a business that's going to be doing over $1 million, which you need to have in order for it to actually be at a point where it can actually sustain the team. But that's the way to do it. So your multiplier is now the business opportunity, where at the moment you're really focusing more at the team. Now let's come to Niraj. Niraj has got a slightly different situation, right? Because he's basically, again, doing a really good job at getting things going. You know, when you talk about the Titans and you're thinking, look, people are really getting into the idea. If I was you, I would start up the Titan 20 just because it sounds cool. And the Titan 20 are the 20 people you've selected to work with that are the ones that each have got a very specific brand name that you're going to be actually talking about, maybe even interviewing. Like, people are going to be wanting to pay for that and say, look, to do that's going to cost $1,000 a month, right? So, and it's cost $1,000 a month over 12 months. Because then you at least lock in 20 people at $1,000 a month over 12 months, which is going to get you to 20,000 a month. Whereas at the moment, you've got to keep on looking for new people who may or may not stay for a long time. But people want to stay in something which is limited. Call it the Titan 20, do it for the next 12 months. Know you're going to make at least 20,000 a month by doing that. You're going to, connect all the right people in the right way. Maybe do the same as BNI, where you only have one, a Titan in each particular industry or in each particular niche. And then that way they feel super cool about the fact that they're basically, going to be there as someone that you're going to be recommending as well. And then they're going to all want to be connecting with each other, sharing tips, and you're going to have them as your success stories to say, look, here's what these guys have done and how they've done it. And I think if you did that, you start realizing, you know what, there's a whole bunch of people who are fighting for this market, and even LinkedIn themselves know that while there is definitely value going for the people that are willing to pay that kind of money to build their own branding, the real money is a different avatar, right? Which are the ones one step up, the ones who are looking for the Titans, or the ones who are looking for the recruitment. So like LinkedIn makes a lot more money from the recruitment side than they actually make from the from people just putting their profiles on there. And so one thing really important is in exactly the same as what I said with both Nick and Claire. When you have something which is a physical product outside of your education, people are willing to pay for that. And in the case of something like LinkedIn, you'll find that there is, well, I mean, you know about all these things already, right? You've got all these automations going on. Like Ducksuit goes out there looking for all of these people that want to actually take on their product and their automation. They pay a commission already for what they do. It allows you to automate everything that you do. And of course, they've got all the leads that are using Ducksuit already. And you can then connect up with all the guys that are actually part of that. So for example, if I just go and look for, let's go to Facebook, and I just go to Ducksuit, which is one of the best automation tools for LinkedIn. And obviously no one's going to be using Ducksuit unless they actually already are like a power user on LinkedIn. And you can see Ducksuit, you've got already this user group, 3,600 people. They're all using this automated tool on LinkedIn to help grow their business. Every one of those 3,600 is a direct potential for you. Even if you just went in that group and started adding value to the group and then saying, hey, I'd love to do some interviews with those who are using Ducksuit well, you then get to meet the best guys because they'll come your way. You can even post those into the user group to say, here's how we're using Ducksuit. They then go, wow, who's this Niraj guy? It's like, geez, he's got a whole business on LinkedIn. I want to be one of his titans. And then they'll all be coming your way off the back of that, right? So this is about go to where the people are who already are using the complementary tools, not the competitive tools, but the complementary tools to what you're doing already. So that'd be one example. But what if I was you, what I'd be doing is going one step up and saying, well, what are the things that people are actually using beyond that? So for example, LinkedIn Sales Navigator for Salesforce. This is a plugin for LinkedIn where basically it allows anyone who's using Salesforce to be able to see all of the LinkedIn data on a particular lead. It just automatically links it all together and then pulls them all in. And you can see here that off the back of all of this, like the guys that will be using this would be finding this super valuable. Like I've been saying to the team, we should have this on our Salesforce, right? But we don't have this in Salesforce yet. And we haven't linked it to it. But we're actually with our Salesforce also basically like getting our partners to use Salesforce. And if you helped us to actually get the Sales Navigator working with Salesforce, and then we could integrate it into GeniusU, which means you'd actually have an actual tab saying LinkedIn on GeniusU where you could see all this extra info, and you could then teach people how to use it, including our partners. You're now talking about one level up, which is the corporate users that actually will be willing to pay you a lot more money. Right? These guys will pay you like more than $1,000 a month for your service to help use this, because this is actually directly generating sales for them and their business as well. Or recruitment, right? Like, you know, you've actually got the whole recruitment side, like there's things like this, LinkedIn Recruiter Integration, which already actually allows you to actually use all these tools for finding the right people. And if you've got people like on the recruitment cost, it costs already over 10,000 just to find a good person. If you're helping them to actually be able to set things up, to be smart about how you set yourself up as a recruiter, because you're looking for people, you'd find people willing to pay you a lot more money for that. So you don't, like, this is beyond the titans, right? This is that now saying, what if I was to go for companies that actually are more than the $7,500 companies, and you can find the recruiters very, very easily. You can say to them already, hey, I can see how you're doing recruitment. We can really help you to actually improve on this a lot. We know the tools to use. We know the training to actually achieve the next step. And they are already having a budget for their recruitment, and they'll redirect that budget to you in a way that these budgets are much, much higher than the marketing side, right? That individuals are going for as well. So if I was you, I'd be saying, right, what's the actual number I want to have coming in for my recruitment numbers, and then what's the extra that I'd want to be bringing in? If I said, hey, look, you know, if I had, you know, 20 people or 1,000 each, that's 20 grand a month already that I'm making. On top of the 20 grand a month, I'll then make my next 20 grand a month from basically 5 companies that are going to be paying me 2 grand a month each, and that'll be worth it if they're actually, you know, recruiting 2 or 3 people during the year. So this basically is about shifting your avatar, and then your partnerships are about your complementary partnerships, where it's not just about those guys that have the actual community. It's about those guys that, because you can use all your tools to find the people on LinkedIn anyway. LinkedIn is your biggest partner of all, obviously, right? So it's actually like how you then actually.
So I think one of the things that I'm getting requests for right now is that, you know, done for you services on LinkedIn. So yeah. LinkedIn lead generation.
Yes.
You know, because LinkedIn itself is quite clunky to try and generate leads from. But if you have some integrating software, which I've been looking at, a number of them, and one person is willing to white label it, then that's something that, you know, people could easily end up paying $1,500 a month.
Exactly. That for sure is your next step. And I would even go as far as to say that once you start building that up, just like we've done our Genius Solution Services, you would then have actual faculty members, people that would actually be willing to pay you to be the one that's your representative in a particular country to actually then do that job for you. So you don't have to be the one doing the whole service, but you're going to have all the leads coming your way to make that happen, right? So this is about how do you just get yourself to more like the 100,000 a month, you know, level, which is what Green Level is all about. Because all of you guys could easily go green with the right mentoring and the right steps forward within the next 3 to 6 months, right? But it is about that choice. Do I want to do that or not to lift myself to the next level? And that kind of brings me over to Keith, because Keith, it's exactly the same thing. And guys, I know I went over the hour, so I hope you guys are okay for another 5 minutes. But basically on Keith's side, you know, like the biggest challenge at the moment is you're still thinking just about New Zealand. And I get that, because your model is all about New Zealand right now. But the moment you actually expand that model out, and I do it in two ways, right? On the one hand, I'd be doing it by saying, well, like, you know, what is out there for donuts, right? Like here is, if I go to, let me just put in donuts here. Donut, I'm just gonna have a look. So under donuts, right, you've got all of these people out there, like Dunkin' Donuts and stuff like that, Donut Media and so on, that are doing these things, right? And then have a look at this one here. This is Tiffin Box, homemade donut recipe for kids. Tiffin Box full recipe. This is September 11th, right? This is like just done. 107 comments, 11,000 views. These guys here, they basically, all they do is basically just have recipes for kids. And the donut one is the one that at the moment is getting all the traction. And they've got 3.5 million views from the last week of people wanting to figure out how they can make homemade donuts. So your ability to tap into this, like you can actually put Facebook ads that target these 3.5 million people, and they will all start saying, hey, would you like your own donut kit at home, right? Would you like to basically like, you know, come join our donut club? And straight away from that, if you actually had 1 or 2 apprentices who are young kids that you were then actually, you know, mentoring to basically build your donut community, you could very, very easily, because this is like a big hot topic right now, how do kids do things from home, or how do the parents do things from home? And this is about the donut recipes. Gluten-free donuts for sure is like a really massive part of all this as well. So just like I was saying with the others, your ability to link this community together. I mentioned YouTube. If I go to YouTube and I basically like just type in donuts, you'll see immediately YouTube helps you. Like if I do this donut, it will actually tell me like what is the main thing people are looking for, right? Donut media, donut recipe is easy, right? If I click on donut recipe and say, well, what are people actually looking for? Like, you know, you've got these things that like 5.9 million views, this one here, right? 1.4 million views, this one here. It's like, these are millions of people, 8 million people watching this one here. So your ability to tune in, if you actually were to do this, that the people looking for donuts, and same thing as I said before, if you actually look at the actual number of people like tags, you can see they've actually tagged them here down on the, oh, this is video, yeah, video tags, it's just loading. So you can see what are the biggest ones that people are posting on. And if I come to something like this one, like donut, is #1 under donuts right now, right? And like #1 on donut recipe. And if you just go to one of these and say, well, how many people are actually looking for that? You've got like 220,000 people a month who are actually like searching for this right now. It's just like you've got 430,000 searching for donuts. So you're actually going to a global audience with people out there that are actually interested in this. And then of course from there, if they come to your channel, because it's so easy to set up a channel, and again, you don't have to do this yourself, you can get the right people doing it, you're then getting hundreds of thousands of people coming on it, finding really interesting things that you're posting about this, seeing that you can actually be like, you know, delivering donuts to their home. And then from there, you're gonna be able to see where the most interest is. And then I really believe that your biggest value here is if you're doing something where it's $1 million a year, where you can deliver a caravan for $40,000. What's important here is at the moment, everything you're doing is based on you running them yourself or having to get the New Zealand government to actually fund it. But once you actually realize, geez, like how much is someone for $1 million a year, how much are they willing to pay for something? They may not have 40,000 upfront for a caravan, but they certainly have enough that they can actually rent a caravan from you and then also be willing to pay a franchise fee. Normally it's about 10% franchise fee. And if you said, okay, 40,000 per caravan, like if someone paid it over 4 years, which meant they're paying $10,000 per year, it all gets paid off after 4 years, but you still keep on getting that $10,000 rent. Then you're getting $10,000 rent guaranteed. You know you can cover the caravan. You'd be able to get financing for that to say, I've got somebody's going to pay me $10,000 a year for that. Someone goes, great, I'll give you the 40,000, and you give me back basically half of that money, and you keep half. So you're keeping 5,000. 5,000 goes back to them. Within basically like 8 years, they got all their money back. You're then making pure profit yourself. Someone's now happy to pay the $10,000 because that's like basically every month is like, let's call it $1,000 for the caravan. They're then running the business, and they're also paying you a franchise fee, which can be 10%. If you're getting 10% on $1 million, then you're getting $100,000 per business off the back of this. The caravan was already paid for through the financing that you put together. The 100,000 that you're making, you're not having to do anything because they're the ones doing all of it. They're able to manage the whole business from there. and you can sell the franchise on this. Now, if someone's going to be generating $1 million, how much are they willing to put in for the franchise fee? Normally for $1 million, they'd be having a franchise fee of somewhere around about basically $30,000 to $40,000, right? Let's call it $30,000 franchise fee. Because why? Because they know that they can be making at least 10% profit, which is $100,000, which means they can make their money back in the first year. If they do badly, they'll still make the money back. If they do well, they'll double or triple their money. So they'll pay you $30,000 for the franchise fee. I really think if we were to basically work together and I was to help you to put together a franchise, you could be selling a couple of these before Christmas time, because there are people who know the only way I can make money right now is I got to go to where the customer is, or I got to focus at the local community. I can't be just relying on overseas visitors that aren't flying right now, right? If they also knew that with the franchise, there was a virtual component, which means they're going to set up an actual community together with a physical component, which means that even if the crisis keeps on going, they're still going to have a way to basically, keep with the with their business as well. And that if the physical component could potentially make at least $30,000 a year to cover their franchise fee, they'd be paying you $30,000 to start with, which means you get that all in cash. You then get the $100,000 per year for their success if they're successful. You don't need to sell more than a couple of these, and you're actually hitting your $12,000 a month very, very soon after actually starting this. And more importantly, we've already got a global community of people who are already looking for this. If you had like gluten-free donuts, you're actually making the whole thing super healthy, and you turn that into a franchise, your ability to then build your business into a multi-million-dollar business, which is global, is way, way, way more effective. And so your situation is very similar to Claire's, where you've got an offline business which isn't multipliable yet, but you can make that multipliable. Then you're doing both the magnify and the multiply, and you're doing it in a way that actually can really allow you to get to green level much faster as well. So just in summary, right, the two big things I wanted to share on this was, number one, guaranteed customer flow. You have to get this in place before you start going green, or else you're constantly trying to figure out new ways to get to the market, as opposed to just getting the market coming to you. And I kind of showed each of you where that is. Global multiplier, this is about knowing that your multiplier needs to be business multiplier, not the customer multiplier, which means thinking at a whole different level to actually make that happen as well. Okay, I'm sure there might have been other things you got out of the call as well, but hopefully this has been valuable. I'm gonna come back and give each of you just a chance to share whatever's like biggest thing, takeaway you've been getting out of this call. And then I'd love to share what I see as like next steps for a few of you if you are up for making this all happen. So Nick, let me start with you. What's the biggest thing that's come out of you from the call?
Okay. Just the clear messaging around go where the rain is, step into the river, and I kind of see that. Yeah, I've been waiting for the stream to trickle on down, so pretty clear message there. And I guess that's the main thing for me. I did have a question. I don't know if you're taking questions at the moment, but just around, like you said about sort of promoting through YouTube, and then there was this idea of the partnerships with certification, which I think is a really good idea. Do you think I should try and run both at the same time, or focus on one or the other?
The most important thing I would say is that you get someone on board that can help you with the marketing side, and they're really focused at actually driving the things I was just talking about. And then I would, if I was you, be focusing at the certification side, because if you don't, you'll go another 3 months and then you'll still be stuck basically just repeating the same process in January, right? Whereas if you had that going, then the certification can already be starting with the test model with a few people, and then you could really drive that forward in January, Does that make sense?
Yeah, totally. Yeah. Thank you.
Okay, awesome. Was that helpful?
Oh, it was amazing. Yeah.
Fabulous. Okay, let's come over to Claire.
Well, I mean, it was all quite mind-blowing. I just, same as Nick, it's like where the rain is, I think my stopping point has been not knowing the people I need to do the jobs I need. I think, Kyron said something on another thing once, and he said, yellow people, they're just running around everywhere trying to do everything themselves, and there's no time. And that's totally what I feel like. And I think knowing that you can get people that do that kind of stuff, and so then it doesn't become an issue. You just go find the people.
Yeah.
So very, very, very valuable. Thanks, Roger.
Oh, awesome. Fabulous, Claire. All right, excellent. Let's come over to Niraj.
I really liked how you were able to just use a few tools to quickly identify where you could get guaranteed customer flow. And I really like a couple of the ideas that you gave me with regard to how you could become a multiplier globally.
Awesome, very cool. Yeah, I mean, like you're right in the midst of what people are really, really, really needing right now, and like they're just needing the hand-holding to get them there. Plus the opportunities. A number of people say, I'd love to be an expert on LinkedIn. I just don't know where to start. I know there's people there that will pay me money for stuff, and so your ability already to actually create that opportunity for people that allows you to then expand into something more than just being a consultant, which is always going to be short-lived on its own, right? You got to like really lift up that next level, you know. Yeah. All right. Okay. Let's come over to Keith.
Yeah, thank you, Roger. Amazing call. I mirror Niraj's comments, and also the fact that to tap into those big communities and making comments on posts or asking those to follow us. And so also we follow them so that the reciprocal thing may happen. So yeah, that's what I've taken. And also possibly to sell a donut recipe online, which would give me an international presence. So
yeah, absolutely. And what about the whole thought around the franchising, the idea of actually building a business opportunity, which is going to be very profitable for you as well, if you actually got that right?
It's a great idea. Chiron's mentioned that franchising is a thing of the past, but the franchising model fits with being a mechanic and also going internationally very, very quickly, because Little Orbit Donuts is an international donut franchise already, but they lack some of the structure that Donut Express has come up with in our 16 years of doing business, and having a USP and having online sales, having gluten free, and giving the customer what they want. So something as simple as a money back guarantee, which allows the people who are not happy to tell you so that you know straight away, instead of having a decline in business revenue and then having to pay someone to do market research. So I see the franchise thing as outside of my current thinking, but that's the purpose of the call. And so, yes.
And what Karen's saying, I said that to Karen as well about franchising. Franchising itself, or the word franchising, it's true, the whole franchise associations and so on have just made it all very unwieldy. But you can call a franchise a license, and then you get around all of those regulations, and it really is more of a license, but it is about the business model that you're providing for them as well, you know? Okay, well, look, thanks so much. I went a bit over time, but thanks so much for just taking this call and giving me a chance to get to know your businesses a bit better as well. I think it's super awesome, and you're all on the right track, but I really highly encourage you to be shifting and thinking, okay, how do I go more that green level? Because like you all can do that, but it does require that change in thinking. I'm going to recommend just a few things if you guys are good at this, because you know, we do have, in addition to all the things that we're up to, this whole focus at those companies that we're really pulling up to that next level, especially with the IPO coming and the different kind of like success stories that I want to be getting out there, which is about not just how do you do one level well, but how do you jump from one level to the next level. And so for a few of you, this idea of like me and Donna and our team helping to guide you in the things we've been talking about and making them happen, I'm super keen to see if it is possible to do that. We do have, I'm sure you all know about Crystal Circle and how it works, that it is this invitation only thing that we do. And we do have a whole different way we're doing it now, where at the enterprise level, you know, to go from enterprise to Emerald, we do have this whole thing where we break it down even month by month for people we already know, right? Which means it's like $1,200 a month to be part of it, where the amount of money that we could actually support and I could work with you to generate more is already a lot higher than that, just even on the numbers that we just went through. And for a few of you, I'd love to invite you to have a chance to consider this and come on board with us, because we are really looking at the next 3 months at getting some great success stories in addition to the ones that are in our team already. So the Crystal Circle and basically the structure of it, I would leave it to the team to go through it because they know all the info. You've got Donna who actually runs it at the moment. And then we also have got an Emerald level, which is one level up, which I do want to kind of like mention in a moment as to what the difference of that is as well. But what I would be really keen to do is just basically invite a few of you to come join. And if you actually are up for it and would like to, you know, be considered for it, then we can actually get you on a call right now with either Donna and Yvette just to talk through what that is and how it works as well. So let me just start first of all by saying, Keith, like hearing what you're doing with the whole donut side and just seeing the way that this whole business could be at a whole different level, and knowing that like we are looking for all these great opportunities for our community anyway, and there are so many that are in the health side, in the food side, and I love, like you probably maybe heard that everything we're doing in our Genius cafes, what we've done, you know, together with Chef Cynthia is all about yummy, delicious food, but also it can be healthy as well, right? Which I know it can be exactly the same with, like, you know, what you're doing for donuts, and there's a whole community of people out there that would love to be part of it. One of our Crystal Circle members, in fact, there are a couple in South Africa who came on board. You know, they have an amazing company called Caring Candies, which is all basically like healthy candies, and their business has just gone into the multiple millions, right? And I'd love to connect you with them so you can see what they're up to and what they're doing as well. But Keith, I'd love to invite you to come join us. Would you be interested?
Yes.
Yes, fabulous.
Thank you. That was an easy question, Roger. I need a harder one.
And what I would love to do is get you on the enterprise call for maybe the first couple, and then get you up to Emerald, because basically once you basically get the whole basis of the whole thing together with Donna, then we can really just kind of like really accelerate it off there as well. Donna, you're on the call at the moment, right?
Yes, I am.
Do you want to get on a call with Keith straight after and just have a chat with him?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, love to. We have met before, so I'd love to connect again. Yeah, let's do that.
Okay, fabulous. And the second thing I do want to say is, Niraj, I know you're already so involved with everything that we're doing. You know, when I look more into what you're up to and what's going on with LinkedIn, I really, really want to find a way to build LinkedIn into our Genius Solutions, and also to build basically those tools that I showed you, like link it to Salesforce, which already it does, and then basically give that as a service to our different partners. We've got all these acquisitions we're doing at the moment where I really want to show them how all this works, and being able to have a chance to work with you, help you grow your business, and then link that all into all of the things we're doing with Genius U and the growth at the moment. If you're up for it, I'd love to have you join Crystal Circle as well and give me a chance to do that, and Donna a chance to do that with you as well. Would you be up for a conversation on that?
Absolutely, yes.
Yeah, awesome. Yvette, you free after this call?
Yes, I am. Absolutely.
Fabulous. So maybe if you can get on a call with Niraj, I think it'd be really, really great if we can get something set up there as well, which would be very cool. And I do have, has Nick left us now, or is he still here?
Nick's there.
Hey, Nick, you're there?
Yeah, he's just muted at the moment.
Nick.
I'm here. I had to flick to my mobile because my laptop ran out of battery.
Okay, awesome. Nick, I know we're up for renewal on Crystal Circle at the moment. Just looking at this whole idea of creating certifications for people to be team builders, you know, that for me is where you should be going now. I think it's super awesome how you pivoted, but like I'd love to be able to have a chance to work with you on that. And what I'd be keen is actually to get you up to Emerald level, because your business, like what we're doing now, which is getting you to green level, would be what that's all about. So the Emerald level structure is where you're getting my time as well, and we're now able to really build up to that next level where you actually got all of the partnerships going. So would you be up for renewing and giving us a chance to do that?
Yeah, let's do that. Yep.
That'll be fab.
Yep.
That'll be awesome. So
Cool.
Donna, maybe if you can, after you've spoken to Keith, you can get on a call with Nick. That would be very cool. And
Yeah,
great.
Nick and I are long overdue a chat, so we'll do that.
Okay.
Can we, hey, Donna, can we just make a time to do that tomorrow?
Yes, no problems.
Okay, cool.
I'll message you.
Okay, thank you.
All right, very good. And the last person I just wanted to come to is Claire. You know, Claire, I know you've been on Crystal Circle in the past. It's super awesome to see what you've done right now. I know you want to be.
Roger.
Sorry?
Claire hasn't been on Crystal Circle.
I thought, Claire, why have I?
No,
Why do,
Claire was at Masters with us in October last year.
is that why I know so much about her business?
Yeah.
Claire, I know her business. I thought she'd been on Crystal Circle.
No.
It was actually Masters.
Mhm.
Because Claire, like looking at where your business is now, and especially this idea of actually selling your business, I would actually want you to be on Emerald Circle as well, because you're in exactly the same situation where we could actually map the business out and actually get it ready for sale with, first of all, making sure we've actually got these multipliers in place. Would you be interested in coming on board and making that happen?
Not at the moment, Roger. I just have a few health issues that I'm needing to work through. Yeah, so at the moment, thank you very much for the invite, but at the moment I'm needing to put my health first.
Okay, well, I hope you work it out. I hope that works out for you and everything's good. Yeah.
Thank you.
That's super important. But like when you're ready to really go forward and you want to do it, then obviously, you know, we're here, right? We're here to support you.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Yeah. So I want to say a final thing to everyone here on this call. It's so cool to see how you've all executed against where you're at the moment. You're obviously all in momentum right now as well. Just remain really, really aware. As long as you're trying to sell your product, and you've all come up with new products, but as long as you're trying to sell your product, there's always going to be a challenge because products always change. But as long as you're always thinking about how do I solve the problem of others, what you'll notice that I've done on this call is I've really shifted who you're solving a problem for, right? Because you know, you can be solving a problem for people at this level, which people need that for, and you can get things going. But then the next level up, like for Neeraj, okay, I can actually have people that could actually be delivering for me because that's solving a bigger problem, which is that they want to earn money. Or same for Nick, you know, same also if Claire decides to do the same for Keith for sure. There's people out there with bigger problems now than ever, and your ability to actually be the ones to help them solve that is really what lifts us all to the next level as well. So thanks everyone very much for the call. Really, really enjoyed it. And we'll be catching up obviously in the Chris Circle, and best of luck also to Claire. See you guys later.
Thank you.
Roger. Okay, and everyone will also give you the recording.